Today we're making one of my favorite breads. This is multigrain bread from the Bouchon Bakery book. And this is going to be my version of a Great British Bake Off signature bread challenge from episode 3, season 1. It's actually a very easy bread to make, but you do need to have a ripe liquid starter ready to go. Today we're not getting into how to make one, but I promise I'll make a video in the future and I will explain the whole process. We're starting with the soaker. I'll use the exact seeds and grains from the book, but you can absolutely change them based on your taste. Just keep the ratios the same. Here I have 33 grams of rolled oats, 33 grams of sesame seeds, 33 grams of roasted sunflower seeds, 33 grams of flax seeds, and 33 grams of quinoa. Cover the seeds with 100 grams of cold water and leave them on the counter for about an hour or so. If you notice that the seeds aren't completely covered, just add a little bit more water until they are. About 30 minutes later, we can start the dough. By the time it's ready, the soaker will have been sitting for about an hour. Take 311 grams all-purpose flour, 89 grams whole wheat flour, 44 grams rye flour, 251 grams water, and 89 grams of ripe starter. Also take 3 grams of yeast and 10 grams of salt. Additionally, prepare 60 grams of cold water or ice that we will add a little bit later during the kneading process. Now, the book says to knead the dough for 20 minutes in a stand mixer. So let's start. Once you see that the dough doesn't stick to the walls anymore, it's time to add that extra water. This will serve two purposes. First, holding back some of the liquid helps the gluten develop faster at the beginning. And second, the ice or cold water lowers the dough temperature. We don't want it to go above 25°C, otherwise fermentation kicks in too early and gluten development basically stops. At first, it will look like everything is ruined and your bread is dead. But do not panic, just be patient. Eventually, it will come back together. After about 20 minutes, you'll see the dough climbing up the hook and not sticking to the sides or bottom of the bowl at all. If there is still some stickiness, just keep kneading until it stops. At this point, add the soaked seeds and mix them in on a very low speed until they're evenly incorporated. Again, it might look like you've destroyed your dough, but just give it some time. It'll come together again and the dough will still be sticky at the end. Now flour your surface and dump the dough out. We're doing a fold here as described in the book. So flatten the dough into a rectangle, fold the top third over, and then fold the sides and sort of roll it into a ball. I'm honestly not 100% sure I understood the instructions perfectly, but it worked out just fine. Now let the dough proof in a bowl, just cover it with some plastic wrap, and then wait until it's almost double in size. With proofing, it's never actually about time itself, it's about how your dough feels. Every dough and every kitchen is different. Hydration, gluten development, room temperature, all those variables. So it might take an hour or it might take 3. Next, shaping. For this amount of dough, I make 2 smaller loaves so I can freeze one or maybe give it away, but you can make one larger loaf if you prefer. Just lower the baking temperature and increase the baking time. I'm also using bannetons here, but a bowl of the right size will work just fine. Now, this part I'm not great at yet. I'm still learning how to shape bread, so please don't laugh if you're a bread pro. I made 1 batard and 1 round loaf. For the batard, shape the dough into a rectangle, fold the top third over, then fold it in half, and seal the seam by pressing it closed with your palm. I try to create some surface tension here, hopefully it was okay. For the round bowl, pat the dough into a round circle and bring all the edges into the center. Then flip it seam side down and rotate it gently with your palms to create some tension, but just don't make it too tight. We just don't want to lose all the air that we built up during bulk fermentation. Let the loaves rest on the counter for about 10-15 minutes so that the gluten can relax, and then tighten them slightly and transfer them seam side up into well-floured banetones. Cover with a damp towel or some plastic wrap and let them proof. Again, they need to increase in size, and if you carefully poke it with a finger, the indentation shouldn't completely fill up again. About 30 minutes before baking, preheat your oven to 450F or 220C. If you have a pizza stone or baking steel, preheat that too. If not, a regular tray works as well. You can also bake this bread in a Dutch oven for amazing oven spring, but I'm working on my open bake skills here, so I'm using my steel. To bake, I use parchment paper and a large cutting board to prep the loaves. Flip them onto the parchment, dust with flour if you like, I skipped it here, and score with a very sharp knife or blade, about 5 mm deep. This helps the bread expand where we want it to instead of bursting randomly. To create steam, I grabbed some ice from the freezer. I slid the loaves onto the steel and tossed the ice directly onto the bottom of the oven. My oven can handle it. If yours can't, then put the ice into a metal tray on another rack. Make sure you don't use glass, because it will shatter. Ask me how I know. After about 15 minutes, lower the temperature to 425F 210C and bake for another 20-30 minutes. If you're baking one large loaf, it will probably need another 45 minutes total, and I'd recommend lowering the temperature to 400F or 200C. The bread is done when it feels light and sounds hollow when you tap the bottom. And here are our loaves. They're completely cool now. Make sure you don't cut into bread while it's still warm. The reason is that the crumb is still setting as it cools down. But now let's cut one open and look at that crumb. Look at all those seeds and inclusions. I think it looks pretty close to the picture in the book. I love eating this bread just on its own or with some really good cultured butter and a bit of salt. And thanks to the sourdough starter, it stays fresh for a few extra days. I think Paul Hollywood would be happy with this loaf. And that's it for today. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.